Yeah, title check it, Elliot Wilson. It's great to finally connect with this young man,
What up?
Aminé. What
How
up,
you doing?
Aminé?
How you
How are you,
doing?
sir?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How are you?
Aminé stunning on me real quick, man. Before we start this interview, he said, "Yo, man, I'm sorry I was a little delayed, man. I was just taking a quick shot. You know what I mean? Celebrate my Grammy nomination."
Yeah, man. I've just been happy recently, just kind of because of that, and I'm releasing the deluxe soon. So we've been putting in a lot of work. So I just
Yes, sir.
decided, to celebrate just quick.
So the Grammy noms with this group Disclosure. Like, tell people about that may not be fully aware.
Yeah. I did a song with Disclosure called My High, and I wrote it like maybe a year ago. And I did the song because I really loved it. I didn't think it would get a Grammy nomination, honestly. Like I didn't know. Like, I kind of like to expect the least when I'm
Mm.
doing things because I don't want to be disappointed. So yeah, it's a blessing. It's really
That's
cool. I've
that's
never
what
never been
that's what
nothing.
that's what I don't get about you, man. Listening to your music, man. You even with the word limbo, right? Calling the album limbo. When I think limbo, I think of like uncertainty and stuff. But then I throw your record on, it's like burden, and you ripping MC's heads off. And like even throughout this project, like obviously I've heard, Carolina, some of your early work, but you could definitely feel more of your confidence and just more of you mastering your art on this project. Like, it's interesting that you say like it may not be that, that you're always hard on yourself with your execution. I just feel like with this, it's like so much throughout. I feel is confidence throughout the project. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, man. I feel like I finally kind of grew into my own as an MC when it came to this album. I didn't when I was starting on early in my career when making albums, I was just making songs just to make songs. I was just having fun, which is of course the way it always should be. But this album, I really thought to myself like, how can I improve my writing and how can I really be considered a true MC because hip hop is the whole reason I'm here. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, how did that come together? And like, how do you balance that? Because I mean, you definitely give us some of those braggadocious bars in there, but like, you also are known for making very real records about relationships. Like, how do you
Mhm.
find that balance?
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of find that balance really just by experiencing life, right? I mean, it just kind of the past 2 years when I was making this album, I was traveling the world, I was meeting new people, I was doing things I had never done before. I jumped out of a plane. Like I just these kind of things, and for you got to really live life to make kind of the best music, and that's what I feel like is the blessing with it. You know what I mean? I try to take when I'm on tour, bro. I'm not sleeping. I'm waking up at
Mm,
9 a.m. in whatever random city in Germany we at, and I'm
yeah,
going to walk around the city and experience where I'm at. Because I don't I don't want to take it for granted. I don't know when the next time I'm gonna be here.
yeah.
So I just feel like experiences just kind of help the music.
I know you took a little trip to Toronto with this project, and I feel like that was very pivotal to the album. Is that fair to say? Like, can you
It
tell us
was.
about your
Yeah,
trip to Toronto?
yeah, man. I mean, I had been friends with Wonder and T Minus and those guys for a minute, and we had never officially like worked together in the studio for a while. So I decided, it'd be cool to go up to Toronto and just really catch a vibe with them out there. And I had reached this point in my album where I knew I had these songs and I loved these songs, but I was like, there's a there's something missing from it, and that's what
Mm.
Wonder and Minus and those guys kind of brought to the table for me.
Yeah, what songs were those? And like, what do you draw from in terms of like, both are very respected producers. Like, what are some of the differences working with Boy Wonder and T Minus?
Shit. I mean, I feel like when I'm working with Wonder, it's kind of like just the homie, and we're just chilling, listening to his stuff. There's really no pressure. There's no managers or no A&Rs kind of set up that meeting.
Yeah.
It was just him and me, just figuring it out. And I always was just like, play me the grimiest shit you got, and he played me the Shimmy beat, and I was just like,
Yeah.
this is crazy. And it really challenged me as a rapper to like make sure that I come correct, because you can't fuck up an ODB sample. You have to
Yeah.
make sure you're doing it right. At least.
Yeah. What made you like go all the way with him? He was born in '94. That joint dropped '95. Like, what made you go like all into it? Like, even without the I like your raw part, like really make it a little bit more of an homage too. Like, not just like
Yeah.
right off the beat.
Yeah, because I kind of felt like there's a beautiful trend in kind of hip hop right now where you see a lot of new artists like myself and say Saweetie and a lot of other artists where there's been a lot of bringing back like classic
Classics.
records,
Yes, sir.
but also trying to do them just do, and I felt I had written like 2 verses to Shimmy, and I was like, yo, these is weak. Like these ain't even this ain't even gonna do the song justice. So I sat with the beat for like a couple more months, and then I rewrote the verses and played it for a couple of my folks, and they were like, yeah, this is it.
So you talk about that too. You said that, like, I think I saw that you said that you have sort of a rigorous process with the music. Like you just are constantly like rewriting verses at times and like, really challenging yourself, like you said, receiving feedback. Like talk about that and why that's so important to your creation. Cause I think a lot of times there's maybe an unfair stigma that a lot of people feel like the new artists today, everybody, I don't write my rhymes. I just vibe to the beat and I just go in the studio and make a hit in 10 seconds or whatever, just make my vibe. Like talk about your approach, which seems a little bit more like traditional, like pen to paper.
Yeah, I mean, when I first go into the studio and I hear a beat I love, like Shimmy or whatever it might be, I freestyle for about 25 minutes and I just get out any ideas I have. If nothing comes of that, then I leave it alone and then I come back to it. My writing process for this album was different from the other albums just because I knew if this flopped, it could be bad for me, So I was like, like I really gotta come correct as a rapper. Like I've already proved I could like do a platinum single before, but like now is the time for me to show motherfuckers like I could rap. Like I'm not here just for like the hits of it all. I'm here to show I can make an album, And for me, it was just for every artist I think needs to have a group of people they trust, you know what I mean? And really take out your ego from this because I have my close friends tell me to my face that, nah, bro, that shit was kind of trash. Like, and I love that though, because if I can't trust them, then I don't know, I'll go insane in my head, honestly.
Yeah. That's interesting. You say that. Like, I wonder what that's like. Because, a lot of times artists, like, they'll chase their whole career worried about getting that hit. And I wonder what it's like for you. You have Caroline have that hit early out the gate, right? But then there's that challenge because you don't want to be the Caroline guy, right? You want to be a full artist and, like, with a long-term view. Like, talk about the challenges of that when you have that big record out the gate and to make sure that people know, like, nah, I'm an artist. I'm a full-fledged artist.
Yeah, no, trust me, man. I felt like a lot of people didn't know the work I had put in kind of when I released that single. So for me, it was my first early years. It was a lot of proving I had to do, you know what I mean? And it was me selling out shows and showing I'm a real artist and putting out Good For You and putting out an actual album that does well. And when I go to my show, you hear the crowd screaming to other songs that isn't that song. You know
track 7 and shit, right?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like when you can get them to sing the deep cuts at the show, that's how you know you've done your job as an artist. You know what I mean? And for me, luckily, I mean, all praise to fucking God, I've lasted this long, and I have put in the work. I really don't take any of this shit for granted. I try to make sure I know it can go away just like that. So I try to make sure I'm giving 110% every time I try to put an album together.
And being like a very talented, Ethiopian dude from Portland, man, like how did you break through it? Like, a lot of times I've been covering hip hop for a long time. It's always like, well, these other markets, there's so much talent, Elliot, but it's hard for these artists to break through on the national stage. Like, what do you think it was that led you to being able to like pave the way here and break national, coming from the 503?
Honest to God, everything you said is so true. Like I definitely didn't think this would happen for my career. I'm a black kid from Portland, Oregon. I didn't think nobody would give a fuck. You know what I mean? So for me, I had to make sure that I just made good music and I just kept my head down. And I'm an internet kid. Like I grew up, on the Kanye and I was, I was there, and I didn't focus on being the best in my city. I wanted to focus on, trying to be the best in the world. I really wanted to have my music showcased internationally. So, I try to always make sure I'm kind of paving the way, at least for another artist from Portland to come through and really show out and prove to them that we have more talent in our city.
Yeah, you show love with that song Woodland. Like talk about that, and like I think also like you touch on a lot of times in the album about how like your upbringing, your hometown helped you also, good and bad, shape your views on how racism works. And I think I saw some too where you said like, how gentrification right now is sort of really impacted where you came from. Can you explain?
Yeah, I mean, it was just a different feeling going back to my neighborhood after kind of leaving Portland when I was like 21. Nowadays, when I go back, it's just so many stores. You know, gentrification has really took its toll on the city, and I grew up in a Black neighborhood. So for me, kind of every time I stepped out of my 8 block type of radius out of my neighborhood, you know, I experienced great racism, and it's hard. I got Rip City tatted on my back. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
sir.
Like big. Like I rep my city 110%, but it's a love and hate relationship just because I knew I wasn't welcome there. My family wasn't welcome there. And my mom got looked a certain way. And my dad got looked a certain way when we went to certain places. So for me, you know, it's hard. It's depressing at times, but it's, you know, it's cool. Like I really try and put on and make sure I put good music together. And that's all I gotta worry about, you know.
Yeah, one of those good songs is dedicated to your mama, and I know you said you took you a while to really nail that right song to like really
Hmm.
dedicate her. What was it like when you first played it for her? What was her reaction to
Oh man, I honest to God, I couldn't be there. I couldn't be there. Like,
it?
I had to let her listen to it on her own, and I didn't even send it to her before the album came out. Like
Got you.
my mom is like a stan of my career, so
Yeah,
she listens to the album as soon as it comes out, you know. So I wanted her to really experience it the same way the fans were, and
yeah.
yeah, she texted me and she was crying and you know that whole thing, and yeah, I'm just proud of that, man. I always get emotional about it, but
Yeah.
I love my mom. It is what it
Well,
is.
nah, but you also kept it real. You talk about she whooped that ass back in the day sometimes too, man. You had to learn the hard way, you know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
yeah, man. That's every nigga's experienced that, you know.
Yeah, no, I remember my mom talk about the time we call it my mom called it the pizza place beating. The pizza place acted up one time at the pizza place. It was an issue, man.
Nah, man.
You remember any specific incident or a situation where she had to really regulate on you?
Yeah, man. Like I used to, for some reason, whenever she took me to the grocery store, I would always get lost. I don't know
Mm,
what it was. I was a curious kid. So if my mom was in this aisle, I'd be across the store. And I got lost in a Costco one time,
mm.
and they had to like call out my mother's name on the intercom.
She
And
didn't
my
like that.
mom literally was coming back to the office to pick me up. She was hot. She was looking at me like I had committed a crime. I was so scared that day, but you know, it was you know, my mom's a sweet woman, so she forgive me.
All right, man. I want them to connect to that Limbo, man. What was the feeling with the deluxe, man? You know, there's a lot of deluxe mania going on right now, man.
Mhm.
What made you jump in the ring with that? To me, I want you a couple of tracks. Like I really like the joint talk with Saba, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and but to me, it kind of feels like a victory lap, man. You know what I mean? It just feels like just the
Yeah.
extra flavor on top of this concise body of work, right?
Yeah, man. I had it was really hard to put an album like Limbo together just because mind you, those records didn't just come out of nowhere. You know, I didn't just make Burden and I was like, yo, this is the intro. It was, I made like 15 intros and I was like, nah, Burden's better than all these. So there's a lot of songs that didn't get to see the light of day
Yeah,
because I was trying to make a concise project under 45 minutes. Like I wanted to stay under 45 for sure.
yeah, yeah,
So with this deluxe, I was just like, you know, a lot of people putting deluxes together, but we not putting together just any old deluxe. We putting together a deluxe that could have been the album. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
And it only didn't make it because it was my decision, and 15 other people on my team wanted those songs on the album. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just hyped for people to hear this because these songs are really close to me. You know?
Yeah. It's amazing, man, that you've had such a productive year. I mean, it's been a tough year for all of us. I mean, you speak
Tough,
on the
tough.
loss of Kobe. You know, we had thought that was the end of the world, and then we literally go through this COVID and pandemic and George Floyd and presidential election and shit. Like, how have you maintained your sanity throughout all this madness this year?
Brother, I don't know. That's my comment to that. Like I personally, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like everybody's dealing with some form of depression in this state
Absolutely.
because you know everything is on this right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
all living in a phone, and for me, like experiencing things with people is how I even stay happy in my life. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So for me with this, it's been hard, but I've been, you know, just trying to work and make sure my family is good, and I've just been having all this extra time with my dog. Like having a dog has been a blessing during this. You know what I mean? So, anybody with a kid, I'm sure right now, if they're 1 to 4 years old, this is like the perfect time to be, taking care of them. So, yeah, I'm trying to see the pros of this. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
There's so many cons that I'm just trying to focus on the positive shit.
Before we get out of here, man, last question. You seem like a very ambitious young man. Like, what's some of the future goals that you still have for yourself that you still want to attain?
Man, I'm trying to be on like 3 Forbes lists. I'm trying to get nominations. I'm trying to have a company. There's so many things I've been wanting to do, man. But honestly, I just want to make sure I leave a good legacy. I see people like Jay and some other folks, and how poised they are. Being the rappers that they are today, and that is inspirational for me, because that's how I always want to say. I always tell my friends, like, if I get old and I become corny and whack and I start saying stupid shit, like, please check me. You know what I mean? So my number one thing is just making sure I'm leaving a good legacy behind. That's all I want.
No, that is inspiring, man. You me career wise too. Like you see this, like, when I was coming up, it was like you turn 40 in hip hop and it's a wrap. Like, you can't stick around. And now you see, like, we see brothers in their 40s still making great music.
Yeah, I was about to say, a lot of people killing it right now at 40, and that to me is dope. Like, I like seeing it because there's so much wisdom being played for everybody.
Cool. We learned from you guys too, man. Thank you, Aminé, man. Appreciate finally getting this done, man.
Appreciate you, man. We gotta, as soon as this is over, man, I gotta come see you. Man. For real.
Yes, sir. The first of many, my guy.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
Yeah. Title check in, Aminé, Limbo. Yes,